standing today. You could just take your place on your mat. We're going to take our feet slightly wider than hip width and just take a gentle bend in the knees. So just take a moment to ground through the feet. Check in with the body. Check the alignment if you're standing from the side, that you'd be able to see shoulders in line with hips, in line with ankles. And we're going to start with a standing breathing practice. So turning the palms open. We're going to inhale up, take the hands overhead, join the palms. And as we exhale down, we're going to bring the arms down and then into heart center. So we're going to have a slightly longer exhale. Those of you on the Wednesday evening class will remember this process. So we're going to inhale up for a count of 4. Reach tall with the fingers, and then as we exhale down, we're going to exhale down for a count of 6. And that will come into this point, and then we'll begin again. So I'll count you in now so that we can join in together. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Looking up if you like. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To your chest so that you can feel the breath and the expansion of the rib cage and abdomen as you inhale. Good, and then take the hands down beside the thighs, step the feet back into hip width. I'm going to warm up the feet slightly now, so we're going to inhale upwards as we come onto the balls of our feet maybe, if you have the balance, and then as we exhale, slide the hands as if you're painting the wall in front of you with the palms of your hands. Bend the knees on your exhale, and obviously bring the feet back to the floor. So that will be inhale, up onto the toes, 3, 4, slide the hands down the imaginary wall in front of you, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to go 6. We're going to take the hands behind us. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looking up, reaching up. And then exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Straighten the knees. Take the hands into a clasp behind you. Walk the hands away from the body. Bring the shoulders in together and feel the chest opening. Just noticing how that impacts on your breath. Step the feet out so you come to a straddle. So from here, push the bum backwards, feel the hamstrings engaging, and bring that back so it's flat, looking down towards the floor. So we're going to exhale down the crown of the head, so take the head down towards the floor. Now you're looking behind you. The hands continue to lift. That's your exhale. On the inhale, we're going to come back up to flat back. So inhale, look through the eyebrows. Hands come nearer towards the hips. As you exhale,
crown of the head goes down, the arms lifts. So you can feel this in the hips, in the hamstrings. Come up again.
See if you can get the chest puffing up as you come to flat back.
Exhale, release the back. So the spine is warming up, the hamstrings, the hips and the glutes.
Just go through the flow with your own breathing pattern. Good job.
And then when you're next got your head straight down, release the hands. Take the fingertips to the floor and just give your shoulders a little wriggle and roll. So this time we're going to engage through the core muscles. So this time as you lift, it's going to come to flat back with your hands out in front of you. So inhale,
the hands and back are parallel to the floor. Good. So from here we're going to go over to the left foot. So slide so that your hands are now over left foot. And then you're going to sweep the hands down the floor over to the right and lift up to be parallel over the right foot. So your back is flat, that's it. Okay, so back flat to there, sweep down and along the floor over to the left. As you reach the left foot, lift the body and arms. Good. Do that one more time to either side. Slide and roll over the right leg. Good. And reach over the left. Bring the hands back down in the center of your feet, just in front of the feet. Keep the fingers in the fingertips and heel toe the feet in towards each other. So you're in a forward fold position. Again, crown of the head traveling down. Come into a ragdoll, holding hold of the elbows with the opposite hands. Allow the weight to come through the crown of the head into the elbows. Breathing into the back of the legs, feeling that into the hamstrings and glutes. Working with the range of movement in your body. If your knees are bent, what happens if you start to straighten them? If that doesn't feel nice, keep the knees bent, but just working within your range of movement to your edge. Good. Release the hands down to the floor. Bend the knees slightly. Open up through Urdhva Hastasana. Reaching tall, full, opening the chest, fingers are nice and wide. Bring the palms into touch and exhale down through heart center. Well done. Come down to Tadasana. So we're going to start to open up the hips before we come into opening up the sides of the ribs. Repeating one of the little sequences, the flow sequences that we did last Wednesday evening. So we're going to start by taking a balance. So taking the weight into your left leg, lift the right knee in towards the chest. So this is familiar. So we're going to open up to the right side as far as you can. When you can't go any further, lift the heel, drop the knee. So you'll get rotation happening in the hip. Pass behind the standing leg and drop the toes to the outside edge of your left foot. Straighten the legs, so you're now cross-legged. Moving from the hips, exhale as you push the bum back. Go through flat back and then carry the body down so the crown of the head is down. So we're in a cross-legged forward fold. You might not get as far, so use your fingertips on the floor if you need to, and ensure the crown of the head is tracking downwards so the neck is released. Just move the neck from side to side. Keeping the fingertips on the floor, inhale, come up halfway. Exhale and fold. Okay, keeping the legs bent, gently unwind the body to come back through standing. And then coming out, we're going to do a reverse. So take the weight in the left leg, release the right toes from the floor. So again, find that balance. And then come out in the reverse position. So opening the knee out to the right side, the knee lifts, the heel drops, come back through the center of the body, and then replace the right leg down towards the floor. And just step it out. Good job. Roll. Then we'll go to the other side. So take the weight in the right leg as a standing leg, lift the left knee in towards the chest. Find your balance point. Feel the glutes engaging, the quads engaging, pull the core in towards the body. Open the leg out to your left side, as far as it will go. Once it won't go any further, lift the heel, drop the knee, take the leg behind and step the toes outside of the right foot. Okay, level up the hips. Inhale as you lengthen. Exhale, push the bum back, come to flat back. Once you're in flat back, slowly listening to your body, turn the crown of the head down towards the floor. Take your fingertips to the floor, crown of the head tracking down as you're looking behind you. Feeling into the back of the legs now, breathing, using your exhale for the left leg, the one that's behind, is probably where you're feeling it more strongly in the hamstring. So seeing if you can take your breath, the relaxation of your exhale into that back of that left leg. Keep the neck and shoulders released. If you're not sure, move the head from side to side. Good. Inhale to come back through flat back, keeping the fingertips on the floor. Exhale, fold forward. Good. Keeping the legs crossed, pull in through the belly button and gently unravel through the spine to come through standing. Excellent. And then reverse out as we did before. So releasing the left toes. Lift the heel. Lift the knee out to the side. Bring the knee back in towards the body and step it back down to the floor. Good job. Okay, just roll from toes to heels. Working through the ankles. Give the shoulders and chest opening, a little roll there. And we're ready to start the back of our mat. So think about what we've done so far. We started with the breathing practice, so we're engaging with our abdomen, our lungs, our ribs. We've activated a little bit through the hips and a little bit through the spine. So we're now going to work more into the spine and more into the sides of the body. So we're thinking about the anatomy of really mostly from shoulders down through pelvis and hips. So we're going to take a step forward with our left leg, so coming onto the right toes, we're going to come into a high lunge, left leg comes forward. So step forward with that left leg, keeping the right heel off the floor and making the adjustments so shoulders are in line with the hips, chest is nicely open, and we've got a nice bend in that front knee. The knee level in front of the middle toe of your front foot. Good. So from here we're going to take a flow. So inhale, take the hands behind you. Feel the chest opening. Exhale, take the hands on up overhead into warrior one. Sink down through the hips. Look up if you feel you can and want to. Good. As we exhale, this time we're going to straighten the front leg as the hands go back. So inhale, straighten the front leg. Hands go behind, chest opens. Exhale, let's bend the front knee, come back into the pose. Get that stability. Good job. And again, inhaling, lift, straighten the front leg, hands go behind. Exhale, bend the knee, lift through the arms. Straighten the front leg and just take the hands down towards the floor. Just give your shoulders a release. So we're going to add, for those of you in the Wednesday class, the movement where we did a slightly across the body, we're going to add a twist. I'm going to move to the front to show you. Come out of the pose if you wish, and just so while I show you this pose, because I'll show it from you from the side that I think it's going to be easier if you didn't do it already on Wednesday. So you're going to be starting from this pose in a moment, and we're going to do a twist across the body. So the opposite hand to the leg that's out front is going to come not only in front, but also across the body. So the back hand is going to come onto the back of the back thigh. So can you see how we've got a twist, but opening up, in my case, the right side of the rib cage. So that's the first half of the move, and I'll talk you through that. And then what we're going to do is pivot the feet. In this case, my left leg is forward. I'm going to open up to the right. I'm going to pivot my feet, and the hands are going to land up over the right knee. So I'm in like a Skandasana here. So I'm bending deeply through my right leg. So I'm opening up the left hip, especially the front left hip flexor. And then I come back out, leading with that right hand, comes across the body back into the twist. And that takes us back through that pose. It's a really good opener for the chest and for the rib cage. And it works the spine and the legs. So really good workout all around. So coming back into that left leg forward lunge that you were in a moment ago. So the right hand comes up and across the body. So walk the right hand over the front left knee. Take the left hand onto the back of the right thigh. If you can reach the outside edge of the thigh, you can actually use that to twist. So think of your spine as wringing out a wet towel. So we're working through squeezing the digestive organs, a twist in the spine, and an open through the right side of the ribs, right to the underarm. Good job. Right, now leading with the right hand, start to travel it over to the right side. Let the left hand come parallel to meet it. Pivot through the feet. So right knee now bends. Left leg is out in the straddle position. The right leg, the right toes are slightly pointed to the right side. So drop the hips down. The hands are traveling, positioned over the right leg. So now you can feel a lunge to the right side. You've got it, Jane. Okay, so let's come out of that. So pivot the feet back, lead with the right arm again, comes across the body as you come into that high lunge. Left hand goes behind onto the right leg. You're back in the twist. Let's complete that one more time. So lead the right hand over to the right side, pivot the feet, come into that lunging position over the right foot. Good. And then sweep it across, come back into the twisting lunge. Okay, now drop the feet either side of the front foot and step the right foot forward to come into forward fold. Take the hands behind to place them on the calves. Keeping the hands where they are, lift through the back, flat back. Look through your eyebrows as you inhale. Exhale, fold down into forward fold. Push against the calves to encourage the body in towards the legs. Maybe looking between your knees. Bend in the knees. Bring the chest onto the thighs. Wrap the hands around the back of the thighs. Give yourself a squeeze. Bring the forehead in towards the knees. Release through the upper back. Release the hands back down to the floor. We're going to come out through chair pose. So engage your pelvic floor and your core muscles as you lift the upper body up. Bring the hands, once they're parallel with the floor, lift through the hands. Look down at the knees, push them back over the heels. Drop a little bit deeper through the hips and lift a little bit through the arms, looking beyond your fingertips. Good, and then straighten the legs, bring the hands down to the side, have a little move around, paddle through the feet, release the knees, do whatever movement feels good. Now, I know that sequence is unusual if you haven't done it before and maybe not something that you're used to doing. That's not a bad thing for our bodies. Whilst we can be familiar with poses, we can also get a bit thoughtless with those poses because they're so familiar. So we're starting to bring more body awareness by doing things that are less usual for it, but also are designed to help you maximize opening and using your body and maybe some different muscles. Certainly we're working a lot through that twist into the intercostal muscles in between the ribs, essential muscles, as I'm sure Jane will agree with, for our lung capacity and our breathing function. So we're going to repeat that on the other side now. So we're going to come into a lunge, this time stepping forward with the right foot. So we'll follow the same sequence, so we'll keep it simple to begin with. So we're going to inhale, take the hands behind you, keep pushing that back heel away. Exhale, take the hands overhead, drop through the hips, reaching tall. Find your stability, find your grounding in your pose. Good job. This time as we come out through the exhale, we're going to straighten the front leg as the hands go behind. Inhale, lift, hands go behind. Exhale, drop down through the pose, reach overhead. And again, inhaling, straighten the leg, lift through the crown of the head, open in the chest. Exhale, bend the knee, coming back in. Okay, so feel this extension through the sides of the body. Pull the belly button in towards the spine. And then drop the hands down to either side. Keep the legs where they are. If you're not feeling stable, just take the distance slightly wider between the legs. So this time the left hand is going to come forward, come across the body to over the right knee, and the left hand's going to come onto the outside edge. Sorry, the right hand's going to come to the back thigh. Okay, so your twist is happening here. So feel that engagement right through the back of the pelvis, right through the left rib cage, underarm, through the fingertips. So this time as we pivot, now we're going to pivot to the left. So the hands are going to travel over to the left. We're going to pivot onto the left knee bends, the hands are going to travel over the left leg. You've got it. As we come out, we're going to lead with the left hand, pivot the feet forward, left hand comes across the body, right hand goes onto that back thigh. Think of that wet towel wringing out. Let's go through one more time. Left hand travels to the left, pivoting over the left knee, which is bent, and then coming forward, pivoting back to the front. Left hand leads, comes across the body. Good job. Straighten up the hands, drop them either side of the front foot. Plant the palms. This time we're going to step back into down dog. So plant the palms, step the right foot back, find your down dog, pedal your dog, wiggle your hips, find the release. So using this as a recovery pose for the work that we've just been doing. Good job. So from here we're going to come into three-legged dog on the right side. So lifting the right leg up behind you, push the heel towards the ceiling. Feel that front hip opening, the front quad opening, and probably the hamstring. Bend the knee, bring the heel towards the bum. Push the mat away with the hands as you open up the right hip towards the right side, looking up towards the ceiling under your arm. Keep the arms straight and strong. Good. Turn the hips back towards the floor and release the right foot to the floor. Sink the heels towards the floor, push the mat away with your arms. Come into left-sided three-legged dog. Release and lengthen the left leg up towards the ceiling, leading with the heel. Bend the knee, heel comes towards the bum. Push through the hands, twist to the left side, open up the left hip towards the ceiling, look under the left armpit. Just level up the hips with your mat and release the left leg to the floor. We're going to come into child's pose here, wide-legged. So bring the knees down towards the floor, as wide as your mat. Bring the toes into touch and sink the bum back towards the heels, forehead to the mat. So enjoy the release of the spine. Probably you're feeling that from the twist that we've been doing, also into the back of the pelvis, the hip structure. So enjoy the release of this pose for a breath or two, and then we're going to flow it in a moment. So you want to walk the hands back in the direction of the shoulders, but sort of so that your arms are maybe half the length that they would be if they were straight. So they're not underneath the shoulders, but they're probably
half a forearm's width ahead of the body. You want to come up through tabletop here, but keeping the knees wide. So plant the palms. Inhale as you come up onto the knees, flat back. And as you exhale, float the bum back to the heels. So the elbows stay bent, but the forehead comes to the floor. Inhale as you lift up. Exhale as you release the bum back down to the floor. Forehead comes to the floor. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling as you lift. And exhaling as you release. Okay, lift yourself back out and walk the knees in under the hips. Sit back on your heels for a moment. Everybody okay? Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do a hip opening exercise, but we're going to use the wall to help us open our hip. So I acknowledge the fact that you might not be on camera directly as you are right now in order to find your wall. You may or may not be. But you want to be sitting yourself so that your back is against a solid surface. Sorry to be inconvenient. Okay, so this gives you the stability of, if you were on your back, this would be the equivalent, but now you're in a sitting position, and so you've got the support of the wall behind you. So we're going to start with your right leg. Okay, so walk the left leg forward, keeping the foot on the floor if you can, and then lift. So you might need to walk the bum away from the base of the wall a little bit, so your shoulders are still in touch, and you might have a little gap at the back, so your hand can probably pass through behind. So we're going to take that right leg onto the left thigh. So this is like a figure of 4. So you might find that your ankle doesn't like this very much. If so, lift the toes away from the floor, should ease it. So taking the hands onto, well, so as you would on the floor, so the right hand's going to thread through the V shape, and your hands are going to come onto the front of your left shin. Got that? Okay, so probably what you're already feeling is that right hip. So right through this hip structure here, through the glute. So I don't want you to do anything here. It's doing things already just by being in this pose. What I do want you to do is close your eyes and breathe. So you're going to be breathing into what might be feeling tight, and maybe where you're aware that your body is holding. So is it holding to protect? Is it holding because it's stiff and it's slightly uncomfortable? And I want you to use your breath. So soften the shoulders down and away from the ears. So don't grip the front leg so tightly that you're tightening in the shoulders. And I want you just to soften the exhale into the space that might be feeling tight or stiff. Probably the right hip. So you can use the wall, probably feel your breathing coming through the back of the body if you're breathing deeply in and out through your nose. You probably feel the rib cage expanding on your inhale against the wall. So feeling that movement, how your back is involved in the breath movement. Gently opening your eyes. So now the challenge is, can you step your left leg in towards the wall a little bit more, which you'll find deepens the stretch through the right hip. So can that leg travel in? And then release both legs long. Give the knees a little jiggle. Take the feet back to the floor. Take the hands onto the floor in line with your hips and do a little windscreen wipering. So rolling onto one hip
and then the other. A really nice release after a hip opener like that. Good. So maintaining, coming back to your start position. So we'll take the other leg. So you're going to be, this time, dropping your left, I have the left leg, so you're using your left leg now. So the right leg is placed, step the foot forward slightly than the position you might normally lead it, so you've got quite an opening here through the right knee. So the left leg lifts and drops onto the right thigh. So firstly, you might just observe that there might be a difference, one side to the other. You want to keep the centre of your spine in contact with in contact with the wall. So if you found that you've swung over slightly to one side, centre up. Just take a moment there for your body to settle in. And then thread the left hand through the V that you've got and take both hands onto the front of the right shin. Okay, so just like we did before, close your eyes and use your breath. So observing the sensations in your body that might be holding or tightening. Soften into that space a little. See if you can almost be saying to yourself, giving yourself permission to release. So to unhold, to untighten, to soften. Good, and then softly opening your eyes. And then taking the move that feels right for your body, and it might only be a tiny one, start to move that right foot in towards the body to deepen slightly the stretch in the left hip. So you don't need a lot of movement in this pose in order for it to be doing its thing, as I'm sure your body's showing you right now. Okay, great. So release the left foot. Take it back to the floor. Have a little roll from side to side. What we're going to do now is we're going to test out what's happened as a result of that quite deep hip opener. So roll onto the feet, use your fingertips to lift and come into a standing pose so that I can see you again if you disappeared from my sight. So just come up and down into the heels. You might find that was actually quite intense on your ankles. So just release. Everybody okay? So we're going to try moving through goddess pose now. So goddess pose is a great leg workout and glute workout, but because we've started to open up the hips a little more, we're going to see if that gliding happens as we flow a little bit more easily. So step the feet out into a wide-legged stance. Again, realign, make sure that the shoulders are in line with the hips. Take the hands out just in front of you, parallel with your shoulders for now, fingers pointing away. You might find that turning the toes in slightly is helpful, or depending on your hips, or turning them out slightly. It's really not, I'm not so worried about what that is. You do what's right for your body. So what we do want to be able to do now is to sink the hips down so the knees bend. And we're looking to see if our body will let us keep that nice straight back. Good, so just hanging out here, clearly the glutes are working, the calves and the heels, the ankles and the quads. But also as you look down through the body, keep the chest open, and not exactly a movement, but keep an imagination of the pelvis opening at the front of the body. Okay, so straighten the legs, bring the hands back down to either side. Okay, so we're going to come through star pose this time, so open the palms outwards. Inhale as you take the hands overhead, bring the palms to touch. So we're activating through the sides of the body, push into the outside edges of the feet. And this time as we exhale, we're going to come into goddess. So our arms are going to be coming through a bent elbow, and the hips are going to be travelling down. So the hands are open to either side. That's it. Elbows are tracking backwards, the chest is opening. So you probably feel this more in the hips than when your hands were out here. So again, just try that. Take the hands out in front of you, as we were before, straight out. Jane, just forward, fingers pointing forward. Sit. And now bring into goddess. So feeling the difference, just keep doing that a little bit, moving between the two movements. This actually feels like nothing now, doesn't it, when your hands are out in front of you? And then come in and notice how the back is engaging and the front of the body is engaging, just by using the arms. We're not changing the legs at all, but we're noticing how the body changes as we come into goddess. Good. Let's come out through star pose. Inhale as you lift, reaching tall. Hands come back to the hips. Gently encourage the pelvis to open at the front, so puffing open through the chest as well. Slide the hips back, tilt from the pelvis, flat back. So keep pushing the bum backwards. Glutes and hamstrings, so just that, which you can almost feel. Take the hands to the glutes and just slide them slightly underneath the glutes. And feel with your fingers, like palpitate, find those hamstrings. They will be engaged. But feel how they connect in with the back of your glutes. So travel the hamstring, fingers up the hamstring, and find where they sort of connect into the glutes. They sort of go underneath the glutes. Bring the hands down towards the floor and release the head as you look behind you. So we're releasing now. So gently just sort of almost moving through each shoulder to find that release through your spine. So maybe looking to the right foot and to the left foot. Turning the head from side to side, releasing the neck and releasing the spine. Plant the hands, heel toe the feet in, keep the knees slightly bent when they come in. And then we're going to travel the hands up the body along the feet. So engage the core and the pelvic floor as you gently unravel. Straighten the spine with your head coming up last. So as slow as you like. And find Tadasana. Good job. Give the shoulders a roll. Come down to the knees. And then we're going to step the right foot forward into a low lunge. Plant the fingertips in line with the front right heel. Remove any hair from your mouth. That's probably just me. Okay, so slide the hips forward. Let's get this left hip really flexing. So we're on the back of the left foot, we're looking forward and we're using our fingertips just to help us balance, but also we're consciously opening up through the front of the body and the chest. So looking straight ahead. Again, thinking about that exhale, softening the body. Okay, so in a moment when we inhale, we're going to slide the hips back and straighten the front leg and flex through the foot, so we're going to lift the toes. So ready? Inhale, slide the hips back, straight the front leg, lift the toes away from the floor. And then allow the body to soften over the front leg. So again, your hamstring probably this time more in the calf area. So maybe from the knee downwards, you're feeling that part of the hamstring working a little more. But experiment. So slide that right hip back slightly. Find more of the hamstring then starting to get engaged. Good, lift the head, roll onto the front foot and take the hips forward again. So just as you hang out here, think about, we've talked about this before in terms of the telomeres, the markers in the muscle that are used to a certain level of tension or relaxation. And so when we're sitting for a long time, those markers shrink. So our default position with them becomes probably tight and short. So what we're doing with this type of action particularly is we're resetting those markers a little bit for a little more length. Does that make sense, sort of logically? Yeah. Okay, so let's complete that again. Round then. Slide the hips back.
straighten the front leg, lift the toes, feel where the hamstrings are working, soften the torso down over the leg, and then again just play around with the movement of that right hip to see where it engages different parts of the sensation it gives you through your hamstring. Keep the neck soft. Good, lift as you come back onto that front foot. We're not going forward this time, so we're going to step the right knee back to the left. Slide the hips from side to side. And then step the left foot forward now. Plant the left foot on the mat. Fingers stay, fingertips on the floor in line with the front foot. Okay, so we're going to repeat that sequence now onto the left leg. So slide the hips forward, feel that right hip opening. Use this as an opportunity to lift and open through the chest. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. No hunching here, so get some nice length through the back of the body as well and into the back of the neck. Good. And then as you exhale, slide the hips back, straighten the front leg, lift the toes of the left foot. Sink the torso down over the front leg. Observe the hamstrings. Again, move a little through that left hip. See what's happening where. Find your own personal version of challenge in this pose. Good, let's come forward again, roll onto the front foot, keeping the fingertips on the floor, slide the hips forward, lift and open through the front of the body. Good. Think about that resetting that's going on as a result of this practice. We really need to do more movements like this, especially when we're spending a lot of time sitting. Okay, and again, let's go into the reverse of that. Slide the hips back, lift the toes, straighten that leg and soften over the leg. Again, little movements in that hip. See what's going on and where your work needs to be. Good, roll onto the front foot. And then lean to the left side, so you bring your left bum onto the floor and your legs can come out in front of you. Okay, so we're going to come through a bridge sequence here. So I think we've been working into the pelvis opening to the front through weight coming through the body. So we've used that crescent lunge and the hips travelling forward. This time we're going to do it without the weight. So think about the movement that we're making in bridge poses. Just watch for a moment. We're now using the engagement of the core muscles and the front of the quads as we lift up through here. So it's a different, because the legs are actually just in contact with the floor, the movement's happening through the abdomen and the lower back muscles to lift. So whilst we're still getting open in the front of the hips, we're using different parts of the body to move us into there. Okay, so walk the heels in towards the bum and turn the toes in slightly. Make sure your spine is nice and straight. So as we inhale, we're going to roll the pelvis in towards the belly button. So the bum cheeks lift off the floor and the lower spine probably just a little. And then as we continue to push through the feet, lifting in the hips, the hands go behind us. So opening up the front of the body, keep pushing through the feet, lifting the hips as high as you can, looking straight down your chest. So again, just as we hang out here for a moment, think about the space that's been created in your rib cage. How atypical or unusual this sort of movement is in our daily movement. So we're creating more distance between the rib cage, we're sort of stretching the intercostal muscles, and we're creating more space in the apparatus of our breathing. So the ribs are obviously integral, but also think about the diaphragm muscle at the base of the rib cage. Okay, so now let's take that back down slowly, slowly with control. So the hands, the spine, eventually the hips come back to the starting point. Just take a breath here with everything releasing to the floor. An inhale and an exhale through the nose. Good. Hopefully feeling a nice grounding through the back in contact with your mat. Let's take that through another flow. So engage pelvic floor, tilt the pelvis, belly button in towards the chest, and then you feel the body almost lifting of its own accord as you push the floor away with your feet. Hands go overhead, open into the front of the body. Engage so that you feel that your quads are also working here. If you push down into your toes, you'll feel a deeper activation in the quads. So push into the toes, you'll find that the legs lift a little, the hips open a little bit more, and you've got slightly more contraction in your legs. And then slowly with your exhale, roll the body back down. Good. Close your eyes, take an inhale and an exhale through the nose. Okay, let's join the soles of the feet for a reclined butterfly. We're going to put a breathing practice into our butterfly this afternoon. So you're going to take the left hand to the belly and the right hand to the chest as we normally would. Your right hand is going to hopefully do very little, because what I want you to do is I want to really engage the diaphragm into some diaphragm breathing. So your chest should be still as I guide you through this breath in a moment, but your belly should be expanding. So imagine that you have a soft balloon underneath your left hand. It's not very inflated. Okay, close your eyes because I'll just talk you through this. So now as you inhale, I want you to be breathing through the left hand. So I want you to imagine your inhale inflating that balloon so you can feel not only that your left hand is lifting, but actually the fingertips and the wrist are also moving as it's the balloon is like across the body. So from wrist to fingertip maybe. So feel that expand. And then as you exhale, feel the left hand release back down and become loose again. So keep doing that in your own breathing pattern. If you find that your right hand is moving, see if you can move your breath so that the impact of it is lower in the body. So we're going to do that with a count now. So just come back to a neutral position, finish whatever breathing rhythm you're in. And then we're going to inhale together for a count of 4. So inhaling, 2, 3, 4. And exhaling for 4, 2, 3, 4. Inhaling, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling, belly goes down, 2, 3, 4. Inhaling, belly lifts, 2, 3, 4. Belly drops, 3, 2, 1. Let's do that one more time together. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, belly comes down, 3, 2, 1. Release the hands down to the floor, palms facing up. Get the shoulders in contact with your mat. So the front of the body completely relaxed. And maybe you're observing a more easeful sensation in this pose than you might have done if you'd come into this pose at the beginning of the practice. So the work that we've been doing should have created a little bit more space through your hips today. Okay, so bring the knees in towards each other and then bring the thighs in towards the chest, the hands onto the shins. Inhale as you bring the forehead up towards the knees. Feel that nice connection with the lower spine. And release the head back to the floor. Slide the hands slightly up towards the knees rather than on the shins. And then we're going to make circles in opposite directions with the knees. So starting in one direction, we're going to do 3 circles in one direction. So open the knees in the opposite directions. Take them out and round into a circle, keeping the hands in contact with the knees. Take 3 rounds, so your whole legs are being involved in this movement, as are your hips. And then once you've done 3 in one direction, go ahead and reverse the circles. So again, as we often talk about, we're greasing this ball and socket joint really nicely, keeping that the hips healthy and mobile. When you've done 3 in both directions, bring the feet to the floor and then straighten the legs out, ready for these last 5 minutes of Shavasana. So finding your comfortable relaxation, connecting back in with your breath, doing a little scan through the body as you observe the sensations as a result of your practice today. So what are you noticing that might feel different, hopefully in a good way, than maybe your body was feeling before we started the practice today? As you gently inhale and exhale through your nose, observing the breath working your body. So where can you feel the movement in your body that's driven by your breath? And if you're aware that that's happening higher in the body, see if you can take the awareness lower into your abdomen, and really making that diaphragm work so that it's your abdomen that lifts on your inhale and lowers on your exhale. Noticing your breath smoothing out and your body through the practice, just using these few minutes to just relax, release and reset. The messages that your body's received as a result of your practice, creating more length into the muscles and the ligaments. Good stresses that we've made into the joints to help strengthen and mobilize the body. Now, how powerful your breath is in helping you to come into a sense of relaxation and calm, just through your breath. Very comfortable with the rhythm of your breath and the relaxation of your body. Your mind, if it wanders, just bringing it back. The awareness, the breath in and out through the nostrils. Allowing your face gently relax, your jaw to loosen, your lips to soften, allowing a small smile
come through your face. And if that smile continued, up the face, bringing a smile to your eyes underneath your eyelids, running across the forehead, out to either cheek, down through the ears, releasing through the neck. Feel that radiating down through either shoulder, and the upper arms, the elbows, forearms, and wrists, fingertips. Starting at the top of the chest, travelling down the chest, all those ribs and the intercostal muscles we've been working today, diaphragm, the abdomen, spine at the back, pelvis, hips, thighs, hamstrings, knees, shins, calves, ankles, heels, soles of the feet, under the feet, and toes. Bringing a little movement now into fingers and toes, maybe circling wrists and ankles. Keeping your eyes closed, bend the knees gently so the feet come to the floor. And then gently rolling the knees to either side, just slowly, like a slow windscreen wiper. Finding a comfortable side bended position, so keeping the knees bent to any one side, just turn the body into a little curl. Taking a moment to come to, and then gently finding your way back to a seat. Welcome back, everybody. Let me just unmute you. How's everybody doing?
Good, thanks.
That was excellent, Karen. Just what I needed.
Good.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. So, you'll notice quite a focus on the breath through this practice, and partly selfishly, as I think I already told Sheena earlier, Colin and I just going through a certification in the breathwork practice, which not only are we finding really amazing in terms of what your breath does for your body and how poorly many of us breathe a lot of the time. So I would be very interested to know, we're going to be doing some breath workshops specifically around helping you breathe better, but also learning some breathing practices. So 3 types of breathing practice. They all come from yoga breathing, so from pranayama practices, but we're dividing them into 3 types of breathing. So what are classified as coffee breathing practices, which are the energizing practices, the water type of breathing practices, which are the balancing and evening practices, and then the whiskey practices, which are the relaxing and the calming practices. So I will obviously share information about that when we're aiming to do some practice. They'll be virtual, and there'll be ones that will incorporate the breath work with movement, so with yoga and with a little bit of movement. So I'd love to know if you're interested in that. But we certainly find them really powerful. And you know, whether you've got particular conditions, so for people with asthma and some sort of breathing conditions like that, or whether it's to help sleep, whether it's to improve energy and focus, or whether it's to reduce anxiety and stress. Little practices that you can do in your own time for short periods of time that immediately impact on how you're feeling. So watch out for news on that coming soon. Practices, as you know, so Wednesday practice goes ahead as normal. This recording I'll send to you so that you can use it for next week when I'm hopefully away. And similarly, so today, Wednesday, practice as normal. Next week, no practice, but I'll send you recordings, and then back to normal again the following week.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I don't see you Wednesday, have a lovely week and take care, and I'll see you all soon.
Yeah, you too. Have a good holiday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Right.